Welcome and hello to this week's episode of Strictly Broken Brews. I'm your host Christian Jahrbacher, and today I've got some news for you. First of all, we're gonna change how this video series is gonna play out for the next weeks. Originally, I thought I'd cover the top 10 sets that I think are the best. Then I realized that's probably stupid, and I should just cover the decks that are most represented. And for that data, I'm going to use the statistics Connor has aggregated from the VGPs that have happened so far in America. And I'll use those to basically determine the top 10 most played sets. And each week I'll talk, like leading up to the VGP finale, I'll talk about one of those. Because that's probably going to be more useful for me to talk about decks that you'll see more likely to see at your given tournament. And that's what I think is strong. The other change is I've made a WSDecks for this project, and on this WSDecks account I'll basically have each of the decks I'll talk about here, so you can always look them up and cross-check. So I'll tag them episode 1, episode 2, whatever. And I'm also going to use Heart of the Cards results deck list. So I'm going to use 3 topping lists from Kemono this week, and they are all here. And there's also like where I got them from, who they are from, and which regional they topped at. And 2 lists from myself. The third thing for news, that's the last thing, we're actually going to try me having a drink for this video series because it's strictly Broken Brews, haha. And because this was actually a fairly last minute decision, I only had wine at home and vodka and other stuff, so I just chose wine. But over the next weeks I'll try to like get matching drinks for serious, and if you want to, you can drink along with me so you can actually stomach this review without like hurting yourself or making it easier to stomach. And I think that's more or less everything. So I'm gonna start. And one other thing I've gotten from reviews is that it seemed a lot like a deck tech, and I really don't want it to be like a deck tech, so I'll actually skip over the explanations of the cards, and I'll just talk about the decks themselves, how they relate to each other, how they stand in the meta, what the key differences are, and not just in cards played, but how the deck itself plays out then, what the respective strengths are, and I'll just try to fit in a lot of useful information, and you can tell me how it went, if it's better or worse, what I can change. I'll leave all feedback either on Facebook or in the comment section below. So let's get started with the Kemono list from Johnny L from the Quincy MA qualifier. So this is actually the most, let's say, standard list that I'll talk about today, because this is what a lot of people, I think, thought Kemono would look like when this set first got basically more or less spoiled as a whole, which is just using the obvious cards like the anti-burn, using the obviously, like, tried to paint as the premier finisher Serval, and using a plussing level 1 combo. In this case, Magro seems just like the most obvious, because it's powerful, it doesn't need traverse, it lets you mull through your deck quickly. The interesting parts here are there's a ton of blue at level 0, and there's also 4 dolphins to basically give you additional ways to plus after your plussing combo turn. And this also synergizes well with the plussing engine that he chose, because Magro allows you to quickly move through your deck to second refresh, discard 2, and this card, like Dolphin, gets a lot better post first refresh, because Dolphin basically makes empty lanes. If you don't know what the card does, it's on Anchor Step you can resonance, show the opponent another copy of this card from your hand and bounce it from fields to hand. So you basically get advantage as a trade-off for empty lanes, basically more soul damage. but it's also useful for denying on reverse combos, on reverse effects from various cards. And what's also interesting, he's also the only guy that's playing the soul support. Soul support obviously synergizes well with the Dolphin because it makes you deal more with damage parity. And other than that, it's just fairly standard list, only 2 tap counters because I assume he's just searching it out with his early play and with his bond to the tap counter. And this list basically just tries to leverage the power, the potency of the anti-burn, and doesn't really do that many powerful things against other decks. It just relies on this pulling essentially weight and then like doing a strong play with a strong finish with restand serval. What this essentially means is that at level 1 you kinda somehow forfeit the power game or you just care about having your own card in hand. At level 2 you're playing a soul support trying to keep up in damage. You're playing an early play but you don't really care about protecting it a lot. This is also evidenced by just having 1 counter. Then you just try to keep it parity, try to turn off the finisher, and then use your own finisher and your rest counter to survive another turn, and just kill your opponent. This can work well against, this is obviously going to work well against decks that rely on the burn once to finish, but every Kemono deck basically has an advantage against decks that rely on burn once to finish. This is just a most traditional version, I guess, of how you build the deck. I'm not sure if I want to call it most traditional, but like the most obvious version. So I'm actually not going to talk about this as much because I think it's fairly obvious what the build of this deck tried to do with it. And I think most people can get behind why he chose certain cards. It's a bit interesting that he's only playing 2 of the 4K, and he's playing no runners, but I guess his speeder slots kind of get taken up by the serval that needs to be that he needs because he needs 2 cards in memory for the restand. So he wants to play an additional card that can go to memory, and this is actually the only other card in the set that permanently goes to memory. So he kind of has to play this. I'm not sure he has to play 4 copies, but it can be preference or whatever. And then you don't have as many slots for beaters, so he just put in 2. Let's jump to Ryosuke's list from San Diego. And this is gonna take the set in a very different, well, not very different, but pretty different direction. We still have the same anti-burn, which you're gonna see as a 4 of in every deck, but now we see a bit of a difference here with this card, which is the early play condition for the Owl advanced summon. So the climax combos of this deck are Owl and Shimakaze combo from the Troll deck. So the reason why he's playing Shimakaze combo and not Macro combo is because the Owl's build needs a bunch of very specific cards in their hand at level 2. It needs 1 of these to clock. It needs 2 to 3 copies of the Owls. And, well, actually this build wants 3 copies of the Calls because he's not playing any other early play, and it wants the Climax obviously, which you have more time to get than with the level 1 Climax combo because it's a level 2 Climax combo. So this is why he is choosing to play the Shimakaze Trial deck combo, which, well, despite being a weaker combo overall, it allows you selectivity, which is something the Magro combo or the Penguin combo doesn't really do in that sense, because the Penguin combo just allows you to check top 4, and you basically have to hope that what you hit in top 4 is something you need or want, whereas this basically allows you to search a specific card from your deck, which is obviously better for a deck that needs a bunch of specific cards at level 2. What the other very interesting thing is that I think a lot of people are not playing is this back row. It has tap to give a soul, which is probably a less important part of the card, but it's on the beginning of the opponent's, wait, I actually need to check when it is, but I think attack step, it should be attack step, everything else doesn't make sense, yeah. It's attack step. You may pay 3, discard the bounce counter and the rest counter, and tap down an opponent's character. Which basically means 2 things. First of all, you can you basically get to decide what to tap down before the opponent can actually attack with a character, so you can really tap down any of the 3 lanes and not just 2. It also means that you can theoretically use double rest counter if you have 6 stock and 2 rest counters in hand. And it basically makes it a lot harder for your opponent to play around your rest counter. It even allows you to rest counter if you don't have a field for some reason. So it's a neat little tool of tech, and I can see why he plays it. I think it's an interesting card. I'm not sure I myself would play it, but it definitely has its use cases. He's also playing 2 drop searchers, because this deck needs a lot of specific cards at 2, and drop searchers help get those specific cards. And basically the centerpiece of how this deck works is the All Climax combo, which it has an early play condition if you have the 0/0 Kabani clock. And it has a come into play effect. On play, you can discard a card from hand and summon a card that equals your level or lower from your hand for free. So the plan is basically to play one of this, discard a card, play another one of this, discard a card, play another one of this, or play one of the assists. And then use the Climax combo to just recoup your hand. And then you're going to use one of the anti-change counters, because it just recouped your hand, and you now have the hand to sacrifice to this counter. Basically force your opponent to just give up on the field or have a very tough time dealing with your field, because the owls, you could deal with the owls with early plays, but now you can't use the early plays because the opponent is just going to anti-damage you and remove your card from field and basically protect the owls. So this is a very tough board for a lot of decks to deal with, and now we're only getting, and the Climax combo also obviously has the advantage of thinning your deck a lot. Because you search 4 to 6 non-climaxes out. So you actually actively build compression when you use this combo. And the difference to the other deck is that this is basically a pure compression deck, whereas the other one actually tries to finish. And this is a deck that focuses around level 2. It has to win at level 2, and if it doesn't have a strong game at 2, or if it fails to get off this early play, it's a lot weaker than what the other deck can do, because you simply have no finisher. This is just here for healing, and because it's bondable by the double bond. And you want something strong so that your rest counter is actually active, because you need to have 1 lanes for it to actually do anything. And you're really just playing healers and swinging for base soul counts and trying to win off your compression, which is actually something this deck can do, unlike or better than a lot of other decks, because it has this anti-burn 1. And burn 1s or ping 1s are basically the bane of these compression decks, because even you can't actually be that compressed that burn 1s or ping 1s aren't likely to go through, so they actually just kill you over time anyways. But since this denies those, a strategy like that becomes a lot more viable, and it helps make this strategy a real threat, in addition to like having the dominance at level 2. Okay, so yeah, I think this more or less covers it. And now we have the most interesting of the bunch. It's Tsubasa J use list from Burner BBC, from the Strictly Broken VGP. And oh boy, this is a interesting list. Certainly something I wouldn't have come up with. It still runs the same core. 4 of the anti-change, 4 runner, 4 pulsing, 3 of this, so he's obviously also playing owls. Instead of other utilities, playing 4 of the top check that on reverse flips if you have bounces to your hand and reverse reveal a level 2. He runs 20 targets, so that's actually a fair chance to hit. It's like 2/5 to hit to get a free plus, and it's obviously repeatable if you hit. Level 1 is very small and doesn't include a climax combo. Actually, no, it should include a climax combo. I included the wrong card, sorry. Basically, there's 1 copy of the 1/0 stock soul combo, the moose, that basically has the railgun combo. When you place the stock, so you can summon a cost 0 friend from waiting room to any slot on the stage. This should be one here, and this shouldn't be here. I'm gonna switch this out for when this video goes online. He also plays the 1-0 back row that allows you to rest counter at the beginning of the opponent's draw step, and he might use it more for using double rest counter than the other deck, because he also plays a stock charge back row, and this is also what he said in his Art of the Cards, like in his interview, though he could have also just been joking, I'm not really sure. He's also playing the level 1 Brainstorm, but he's playing, instead of a level 1 combo, he's playing the 1-1 Grey Wolf, which has, it can't be reversed by cost 0s, which is obviously very much so a meta choice, I think. If you have a lot of unreversed climax combos or whatever, this card is obviously powerful. If for some reason people are playing 1-1s, or you push the opponent to 1, now they played early play or whatever, and they just kill this for free, this is obviously pretty bad. It's an interesting card. I actually haven't tried it in Kemono. I actually haven't tried it in a while, to be honest, because people just went away from, they didn't go away from the costless level 1 plan, but people just start early summoning a lot at level 2. So the time window in which this card is effective just went down a lot. Apparently it worked for him, though, and if you have the right meta, this can obviously be a very powerful call. Specifically a meta where people are running a lot of unreversed combos at level 1, and where people run a lot of 1-0s, and maybe not decks that want to field costed characters at level 2. Like Gochusa doesn't actually want to field costed characters often, though it will do it if it has to, or if it gets a significant benefit out of it, which it might have. This, for example, this is on the field. But sometimes decks may miss the early play condition or have another reason why they can't early play. And if this is out and they don't have an answer to it, this just keeps plussing you basically for free. So in the right situation, this is a pretty powerful card. And what's probably a bit more interesting is this back row, which we'll see another time in this video, but it basically just says you can tap it to stock a character from waiting room. And when you play a character, it gains +1k and some random trait. I don't know, was it made or T? I don't. It's not really relevant. It's just when you play a character, it gets +1k, and you can tap it to stock a character from waiting room. So it basically immediately refunds the stock you pay for it, and then just keeps compressing you over turns, which is actually a really powerful ability, especially for a deck that wants to be defensive like this deck. So it works well with the overall compression plan of the deck. A reason why a lot of decks don't actually try to incorporate this, I think, is because red is just not very attractive. He's splashing red via this level 0 that can plus you for free 2/5 of the time. Most of the decks don't bother splashing red or run blue. Basically, probably the most likely reason is they're just running blue and they don't want to go into 4 colors, because blue has like the powerful Magro combo, or has the 2/1 assist to protect the owls. It also gives center hexproof. But he decided to forego blue completely and just go for red and go for the compression plan. He's also playing owls and the anti-change counter. This shouldn't be here, just to remind you. But what's a difference here is he's only playing 3 owls, but he's playing 4 Kaban early play. He can play this out with the owls, obviously, to just get 30 early play, but this also searches out events, and he's playing 4 different events. So this is basically kind of like a toolbox for these events. It can function as a 3-cost healer, which is not exactly good, but it's a thing. And he's getting most of his healing actually from this event and not the character, unlike the other decks. So this deck similarly tries to win it too. It actually doesn't really have a level 1 game to speak of. It just plays at zeros, tries to plus a bit from this, tries to plus a bit from this, tries to plus a bit from the Brainstorm. And then when it hits level 2, it's just gonna probably double field this, play a Kaban, recoup hand that way, and try to keep compressing every turn with this. And then win through multiple turns of rest countering or healing to hand. Yeah, and just outlasting the opponent. And here we have the Climax split. He's actually just running one Climax combo, really. He is running 3 Stock Soul for the one copy of the serval, but he doesn't run a second card that goes in memory, so for the serval to actually turn on, he would need to put 2 of this in memory, which is not that likely. And then he'd need to draw this, and he'd need to get his one off healer, which he doesn't run the bombs to. So he's not really going for that. And he's running one of the red Stock Soul and one of the red Climax combo with the Stock Soul, so he's not really going for that either. I heard that he does it for color purposes, like so that he always has his target to stock. I'm not sure what to think of that, but I'll just leave it as is. It's a very interesting way of going around it. But basically this list tries to leverage this being a toolbox, and also tries to win a 2 like the other list via the potent Aus combo that compresses you. So how these 3 decks, like the main difference is 2 of these decks are defensively oriented, while the first Kemono deck is more offensively oriented. And this plays down in the matchups, like something like, for example, Telavru would rather play, actually I don't know, that was probably the wrong deck to talk about, because Telavru doesn't really care about which one of these it goes up with. Though this card annoys Telavru, and the Dolphins also kind of annoy Telavru. Let's see. For example, anything with the rest counter will obviously be a lot better against this deck, because the finisher requires you to attack with center to trigger. So if you just attack with this first, he's just gonna rest down the center, and you actually can't do anything. You're not that compressed because your game plan isn't compression. Your game plan is to finish the opponent. So this actually this is something this deck isn't prepared against, which you could prepare for with, say, the 2-1 anti-change bomb, which is hexproof. So you can put that in center and put 2 servals on the side, and then they can tap down the center. They can still tap down the serval and steal you 2 attacks, but they can steal you 3 attacks by tapping down the center. So that's a bit better. Though money counter will still steal you 2 attacks from each of these decks. But these decks aren't really that affected by money counter or rest counter, because they're actually just defensive game plans trying to outgrind the opponent. They're more about using this is a defensive tool rather than like the other deck tries to basically now have the powerful finisher and block their finisher, whereas this deck actually just tries to outgrind the opponent in a similar way in that ReZero tries to outgrind the opponent, or Kisaiba tries to outgrind the opponent. So they fulfill different niches, and there's obviously different ways the players went about trying to fulfill that. Phew. Short break. Okay, so now I'm gonna touch a bit on 2 decks I built back when the set came out, or they've already changed since then, and we can see what the differences are between the 3 topping lists and what I put together and what I think the goals of my lists were in their lists. And the interesting thing is, even though we're going to talk about 5 decks, we haven't nearly explored anything of what Kemono is really capable of, because there's a lot more climax combos that we didn't even touch upon in any of these decks. There's a lot more ways the decks can be built. This is just what people tried to do first, what people experimented with, what people had success with, and we'll try to illuminate why they had success, basically. We have 2 defensive decks which are obviously very good against Gochiusa, Telavru also, even though the rest counter is dead against them. Idolmaster, what are the other burn 1 decks? Vivid Strike, obviously, and any Kaleidoscope build of Ilya just dies to this. Whereas the Kemono builds will struggle against decks that aren't really affected by it, like Rewrite, which is also a deck which can compress in a similar manner or basically better than Kemono. And Rewrite is also a deck that isn't affected by the Owl game plan very much because their answers to Owls are level 2. So your anti-change counter actually doesn't protect your Owls very well at all. Something else, for example, ReZero is actually an interesting matchup because he blanks some of their finishing power by blanking Reinhardt and Felt in terms of finishing power. But both decks try to win it too, so there's a very interesting dynamic in playing around who gets a 2, playing around who tries to who basically gets to set up their game first, and whoever gets to set up their game first more or less dictates how the game proceeds. Because if for example, ReZero hits 2 first and fields 2 early plays, it might have an anti-change backup in your hand. So now, when you're starting fielding your early plays, you're in a real bind because you can't really front. You want to front into the early plays because you want to kill them. But if you front into the early plays, you're basically denying yourself an attack if they have an anti-change counter, and you're also losing field at the same time. This is something, for example, if you play this assist, you can always more or less encore center row, because this makes you feel bigger and it gives center encore, unless it gets hit by like the ReZero anti-change counter because it bottom decks, but you get the idea that this helps protect it. Whereas this build is just, I'm just gonna field 3 early plays. You probably can't deal with 3. You can deal with 1, maybe with 2, but 1 still survives, so I don't really care. Whereas this tries to be more protective of its field. It also runs 2 anti-change counters, whereas this runs 1. So this is another indicator that that's the case. So yeah, a matchup like ReZero where both decks try to win in 2 is often going to come down who gets to set up first and who has the right cards in their hand after they've set up first, or if they have the right cards to set up first. Like the anti-change counter is a very key component in this. There's also something where another part where the anti-change suicidal attacks proof would be helpful, even though these decks don't have a lot of use outside of that for it because they don't play the restand, where the hexproof part is a lot more relevant. Yeah. I guess that's fine so far for matchups. We have like Little Busters, where basically Little Busters doesn't care what you do at level 1, and all these decks don't have an issue with Little Busters doing it 1. They struggle against, for example, the anti-heal, because they're obviously defensive decks, and they struggle against what Little Busters tries to do too, because Little Busters is just feeling multiple level 2 characters and tries to back them up by the anti-change. So anti-change just is obviously powerful against every deck that tries to set up multiple early plays first. So in general, what you can take away from this, from me talking about like random matchups that I just grabbed down from a list of decks that I have in front of me, is if you're playing this deck with, say, with the Owl engine, you really want to be careful, or you really want to consider what I'm playing against. Can the deck I'm playing against set up at level 2 in a way that really hurts me? This usually involves multiple early plays and multiple level 2s, which you can side attack, and anti-change counters. And what can I do against it? So you might actually want to try to steer the game in a way that you get hit to level 2 first, which is easier with a deck like this that doesn't actually run a level 1 combo, because you obviously naturally fall behind in damage, and you just try to catch up via compression later on. Compared to a deck that just plays level 1 climate, that's more proactive, basically. This is a more reactive deck. It waits and sees what happens at level 1 and then tries to pull from there, whereas this deck just tries to play its game at each level and tries to win at each level, whereas this is more focused around just swinging the tempo level 2 this one. Yeah, I think that's more or less it for these decks. I'm gonna quickly cover my own decks. I've probably been talking for way too long and I've probably mentioned way too many irrelevant things. I'm hoping this gets better, especially when you get other guests on, so I don't get stuck on things nobody really wants to listen to. Before I go over my alts list, because I'm actually also one of the advocates for using the alts deck, and I'm gonna talk a bit about why I think the alts deck is better. I'm gonna more in the sense of in the theme of strictly broken brews, present a more, well, let's not call it interesting, but different deck. It's actually not that different to the first deck, now that I think about it, but it also runs the memory engines, so I'm obviously running the Subway stand, but I'm running a different climax combo here. I'm running this little thing, which gives a soul to center. And as a climax combo with the +2, if your opponent levels, you get to do the macro thing. So you look at top 4, add 1 to hand discard. So basically the penguin thing, but it's not on attack. It's when the opponent levels, and it's on a 2 soul instead of on a book. Level 1 is really sparse with the dolphin and the brainstorm. So I'm basically relying on the dolphin and the climax combo to plus. Which is also why I want the 2 soul, because the dolphin naturally leads me to trending less damage. But the 2 soul and like gaining a soul from this, gaining a soul from this, helps balance that out a bit. And milling through the deck when you hit off the climax combo is obviously also very good with the dolphin, because the dolphin gets worse when it's in first refresh, yada yada. And I'm running the same card as this list, the more defensive Kemono compression list tried to leverage, which is the assisted stocks a card every turn. So basically the idea behind this list is maximizing dolphin, maximizing early soul damage, and then winning at the end via compression, which this is supposed to help with obviously, and having the powerful finish that the first deck. Well, not powerful finish, it's just a real stand, but like having a finish while the opponent has no finish, that finish also heals you down, and then having the rest counter to give you an extra turn. Which is obviously a common theme, because these are just powerful cards of the set, so most sets will in one way or another revolve around these. Like rest counter will be in every powerful deck, anti-burn will be in every powerful deck. Even if you don't play the climax combo, you probably play some copy of this, some number of this, because it's just a bondable healer that is very powerful the turn it comes in. So it stays on the field, can win the lane, and you have something where you can use a rest counter on. So even if you don't play the climax combo, this is probably a card you want to consider. And this for this deck is just here because it's more red, because as you might see, I don't have any other red. And yeah, so it's just red fix and it's just an early play healer. It's just more healing. So this is kind of a combination of what all the other decks before tried to do, which is try to win via compression, but also try to have like a finish that actually that makes you less reliant on compression and cancelling, but also gives you like an out to finish the game yourself. And this obviously has like the more quote-unquote instant win button. If your opponent is unlucky and you're playing a 2 soul, they have a hard time catching up. And so final stretch. We're gonna talk about the alts list that I myself built. And while we're at it, like this setup is fairly familiar, but fairly recognizable for you by now. But I'm running a bit of cards different. I'm actually running a more similar lineup to the first deck. 4 anti-burn, yeah. 3 of the early play condition, 2 double wander. I'm running 4 plussing oversized slots, and instead of like running 4 runners like Ryosuke did, I'm running 1 runner and 3 of the 4K penguin. I think the runner is better, but I want the color for the 4K penguin, so I'm just playing the 4K penguin. Because you need your level, I'm playing the Magra combo, so I need another blue character. And I really don't want to like level the macro or clock a macro from hand just so I get blue in deck, so I just wanted to maximize the blue count. So I'm also playing blue drop searches instead of green ones. And now you might look at this and say, yo, but you have less green, why don't you just play green drop searches to like get a better color balance? But the thing here is with the color, you actually only need the green for at level 2 for the all combo. So what this means, your requirement for the all combo is clocking this. So whenever you can do the all combo, you actually automatically have green. So there's really no reason to splash any more green, because whenever you need green, you will have green, or you just don't need green anyways. So blue drop searcher. At level 1, I'm just using Climax combo and using this to as an utility full card to move through my deck when it dies. I'm using a similar setup here to Ryosuke, in that I use the assist to basically have a more secure, stable field at level 2. Use 2 anti-change counters because I want to, like, this is the goal. A goal that I pursue with the deck is playing multiples of this, searching out the anti-change counter. Then it's a threat to the opponent that you kill the anti-change, but you can also use it because you just gained a lot of hand back via the owls. And I'm playing 1 copy of the Kaban, less so to search this because there's already bonds for it, but more so that I have basically a 5th copy of the owls, which is something, for example, this deck didn't do, but Tsubasa deck did do. In that this deck doesn't actually, like, especially since I'm running the Magro combo and not the Shimakaze combo, unlike Rio, I often might not get 3 owls in hand in time for me to do the triple combo. So this actually acts as a 3rd copy of the owls because this can lose at level 2, so you just still have 3 early plays when you play 2 of this and this. And 3 early plays is always something that's very hard to deal with for really any deck, because you just have so much field presence and a lot of decks can't answer all of these, especially when they're backed by something like an anti-change, which actually can straight up deny the opponent an attack. Which also ties into tempo and winning with compression. Okay. So we've come a long way in this probably way too long video. I hope I managed to like convey some of the different ideas behind Kemono decks, what you can do. Most of which tie around the idea that anti-burn is obviously a very strong effect. But you can go a compression way, you can go a more aggressive way with the restamps, you can try to find a middle ground. You can try to basically have a better level 1 game or focus around the level 1 combo. You can focus around the level 2 combo, like the owls, and try to win with that. Or you can actually just say, I don't need a second Climax combo, and just like play the Climax combo at 2. Like this deck. Make that my power play and attack my meta in a way that I think it works well at level 1. Like the cost 0 reverser. And the fun part here is there's a lot more for Kemono to discover. But we're running out of time. Like, for example, I didn't talk about this Climax combo. I don't think it's very good, but this is a card you could include. I didn't talk about standby memes, which I'm not sure if they're playable in any way, shape, or form, but it's a thing that people have been experimenting with and that might actually be good in this set. Because you can standby out the soul assist and basically mitigate the biggest drawback of standby, which is not dealing any damage. And there's also the penguin deck, which you already covered on this channel. So there's a lot of stuff to explore with Kemono. I hope I managed to just show you a tiny part of it, give you a bit more context about maybe why people chose to play these decks the way they did, or yeah, and why you might want to play Kemono, for example, if you're playing against a lot of sets with burn ones, then maybe Kemono is a good choice for you if you're playing often against Vivid Strike, or Idolmaster, or Kaleidoscopilia, or Gochi Uza. Whereas if your meta is saturated with Rewrite, or Little Busters, or Milky Homes, or Actually, SAO doesn't matter, because if you're playing it like a compression deck, burn force from SAO aren't likely to go in anyways, and SAO isn't. Yeah. Love Life Sunshine probably doesn't care too much, because it has like, it burns usually for more than one. So, I mean, but all of that's fairly obvious. So, I'll just send myself off here and finish this drink before I go. And hopefully see you guys next week.